Hello PWL fans, and welcome back for the last of the draft retrospective videos, where we are going to take a look at the 5 players who went undrafted. Because no team picked them, we can't give them a grade of steal, good pick, or reach like the previous videos, so instead we'll be judging them based on what round we think they reasonably could have been selected in a hypothetical redraft. Once again, if you haven't seen at least the first 3 minutes of the round 1 retrospective, I highly recommend you watch that before this, as there are terms explained there that will be in this video that you won't understand unless you've seen it. Without further ado, let's get into it. Caden Adams. Caden Adams, with the archetype of technique manipulator, saw his first playing time in Week 3, Game 4, playing for the Hillsborough Highlanders, where he scored just 4 points on 1 elimination and 1 regicide. He was able to get a second appearance where he played for the Hillsborough Highlanders again in Week 4, Game 2, performing much better as he scored 11 points on 2 eliminations. Adams played 2 games where he ranked 33rd in total points, but we're ranking undrafted free agents here who don't get a lot of time, so we'll judge primarily on a per-game basis, where Adams wasn't too much better, ranked 29th in points per game with 7.5. The verdict is Caden Adams with a 5th-round talent. Daniel Winkle. The secret Winkle sibling, with the archetype of technique survivalist, got his first shot in the big league in Week 3, Game 5, where he played for the Rose City Wreckers and scored 8 points on 2 eliminations and 1 regicide. He got another chance the following week in Week 4, Game 1, playing for the Bethany Eagles, where he underperformed and scored 6 points. Regardless, the Eagles signed him for another game that week in Week 4, Game 5, where he had his best performance of 8 points on 2 eliminations. His season ended after his final game being signed for the Rose City Wreckers again, scoring 7 points. Winkle played in 4 games and averaged just over 7 points per game, landing him a grade of 5th-round talent. Matthew Ferguson. Ferguson, a technique corner threat, went undrafted, but received playing time when he subbed in on the Cedar Mill Shockwave in Week 1, Game 5, where he scored a great 16 points on 3 eliminations and 1 regicide, proving he was roster-worthy. Ferguson was signed to the Hillsborough Highlanders following the departure of Ben Baird, where he played 1 game for them in Week 3, Game 3, where he scored 14 points on 0 eliminations, finishing both of his 2 appearances in 3rd place. After missing Weeks 4 and 5, he was cut from the team and returned to free agency, where he was never signed again, making Ferguson one of the 3 free agents to be signed and the only one to also be dropped. Ferguson played in 2 games and tied for 14th in points per game at 15, leading all free agents in that category. However, his stat lines weren't very good as reflected in his low adjusted points per game, so we're going to grade him as a 4th-round talent. Logan Allen. Logan Allen, a balanced adapter-type player, got his first playing time when he was brought in to sub for the Hillsborough Highlanders in Week 3, Game 5. He scored a great season-high 15 points on 5 eliminations and 1 regicide. The Highlanders then had the choice to sign him or Matt Ferguson to their full-time roster following the departure of Ben Baird. The Highlanders chose Ferguson, and Allen got his next chance subbing in for the Rose City Wreckers in Week 4, Game 3, where he scored a lower 10 points on 4 eliminations and 3 regicides. Allen was signed again to sub in for Rose City in Week 5, Game 2, where he tied his highest scoring performance with 15 points and on 4 knockouts as well. Following Ferguson's departure from Hillsborough, the Highlanders signed Logan Allen to their active roster, where he played his final game in Week 6, Game 4, scoring 12 points on 2 eliminations. Of the 5 undrafted free agents, Allen is one of 3 to be signed to a full roster, and one of 2 to remain on that roster to the season's end. Allen played 4 games and averaged the 22nd highest points per game at 13, so we're going to grade him as an early 4th-round talent. Owen Anderson. The self-titled world's favorite free agent, Owen Anderson, a power full-throttle archetype player, is the only undrafted player to play a full 6-game season. Anderson's first game was in Week 1, Game 4, playing for the Rose City Wreckers, where he had his best performance, scoring 20 points on 8 eliminations and 1 regicide, winning the game for the Wreckers over competition such as Tanner Jenkins. In Week 2, Game 4, he was subbed in by the Bethany Eagles, where he declined but still played a great 15 points on 2 eliminations and a regicide. In Week 3, Game 2, he was subbed in by the Eagles for a game again, where he had his worst performance of 7 points on 0 eliminations. In Week 4, Game 4, the Eagles brought him back again. He improved slightly to 10 points on 4 eliminations and 1 regicide, but following Riaz Beagley's departure from the Eagles, Bethany signed Owen Anderson full-time to the roster, and in his first game as a fully rostered player in Week 5, Game 2, he matched his personal best with 20 points, 1 elimination short of his PR, with 7 and 1 regicide. In his final game of Week 6, Game 5, he scored 13 points on a wicked 9 eliminations and 3 regicides, totaling 2 match victories in his 2 20-point games. Owen Anderson finished 21st in scoring with 13 points per game, but Anderson was also the only free agent to be top 10 in any stat line, and he was in multiple, including 10th in total eliminations, 8th in point percentage, 7th in elimination percentage, and 7th in regicide percentage, as well as being a 2-time top 10 player. Owen Anderson earns the grade of a third-round talent. That's all 5 players. In total, we believe that these 5 free agents could have fit into the draft, 2 at the 5th round, 2 at the 4th, and 1 at the 3rd. This concludes the Draft Retrospective series, and we hope you've had a great time watching. Thanks again, and we'll see you here next time on the Portland Waterfall League channel.